It was supposed to be one of the most important mornings of my life. The lake was calm, the early sunlight was breaking over the water, and I had the coffee brewing in my small cabin kitchen. I'd been preparing for weeks for this meeting. The state attorney general himself was coming to discuss a legal matter that could finally put an end to months of HOA drama. I had all my documents neatly stacked on the table, every detail in order, and a plan to keep the conversation professional and calm. But in true small-town fashion, peace doesn't last long when you have someone like Karen around. Karen, the self-appointed enforcer of our local HOA, has a way of making herself the center of any situation. She had already shown up unannounced more than once, usually to complain about things that weren't even in her jurisdiction. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened that morning. Just as I was double-checking my notes and glancing out at the driveway to see if the Attorney General's car had arrived, I heard the sound of my front door latch rattle, then burst open. Karen didn't knock. She didn't call out. She stormed right in like she owned the place, her voice already raised. Throwing accusations I barely had time to process. My heart pounded. I knew the Attorney General was only minutes away, and the last thing I needed was a chaotic scene in front of one of the most powerful legal figures in the state. But Karen wasn't slowing down. She was waving papers in the air, pointing fingers and demanding answers about some urgent violation she claimed I'd committed. And then, before I could get her to leave, I saw headlights coming up the drive. The Attorney General was here, and Karen wasn't backing down. Karen had this way of talking that made every word feel like an accusation. She kept pacing through my living room, her shoes tracking in sand from the lake shore, her voice cutting through the quiet morning like a siren. She was ranting about some supposed unauthorized construction on my dock, claiming she had photographic evidence.
Oh.
I knew exactly what she was talking about: the minor repairs I'd done after last winter's ice damage. Repairs that were well within my rights. But with Karen, facts never seemed to matter. The strange part was how timed this all felt. I'd kept my meeting with the state attorney general quiet, telling only a handful of trusted neighbors. Yet here Karen was, showing up moments before he arrived, acting like she had the authority to interrogate me. The more she talked, the more I wondered if this was really about the dock at all, or if she was trying to derail my meeting. I tried to keep my voice steady, telling her we could discuss her concerns later, but she ignored me. She was already opening my blinds to inspect the view, muttering about property line disputes that had been settled years ago. Every second she stayed, my anxiety grew. Through the window, I saw the Attorney General's car pulled to a stop. He stepped out, tall and composed, his suit looking almost too formal against the backdrop of the quiet lake. And then he saw her. Karen standing in the middle of my cabin, gesturing wildly as if she'd just caught me in some crime. I could already picture how this looked from the outside. The man I needed to take me seriously was about to walk into a scene that looked anything but professional. My mind was racing, wondering how to salvage this moment. And then Karen turned toward the door, ready to confront him first. As if she had been waiting for this meeting all along, the Attorney General stepped up onto the porch, his expression unreadable. But I caught the quick flicker of surprise in his eyes when Karen flung the door wide before he could even knock. She greeted him with the kind of smile that didn't match her voice, already launching into a monologue about urgent HOA matters and community standards in jeopardy. It was as if she'd decided she was the one holding the meeting. I stood there, my stomach tight, watching the moment spiral away from me. The Attorney General listened politely, but his gaze kept shifting toward me, almost as if he was trying to figure out how much of this was real and how much was theater. I could tell he was sharp, too sharp to miss the tension between us. But that didn't stop Karen from producing a folder stuffed with papers, maps, and blurry photographs of my dock from different angles. While she talked, I noticed something strange. Tucked among the papers was a document I had never seen before. Something that looked like an amended property map with red lines cutting across my lot in ways that didn't make sense. I caught just enough of a glimpse to know it was more than a casual mistake. It looked deliberate, like someone was trying to redraw the boundaries. In the middle of all this, my phone buzzed on the counter. It was a text from my neighbor, Alan, a retired surveyor who had quietly been helping me gather evidence against the HOA. The message was short: "Don't let her leave. Found something you need to see. Big." My pulse quickened. Karen was still speaking over me, her voice a mix of authority and dramatics. And the Attorney General was starting to look less like a guest and more like a judge about to issue a ruling. I knew I had to somehow take control. But Karen's grip on the conversation was like a vice. And if Alan was right, whatever he discovered could blow this whole thing wide open. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice as I finally interrupted Karen. "Please, let me explain. There's more to this than you're seeing." But she waved me off like I was just another nuisance in her way. The Attorney General stepped forward, holding up a hand to pause the chaos. "Let's all take a moment," he said calmly, though I could see the hint of impatience behind his eyes. Just then, my phone buzzed again. Alan was calling. I excused myself quickly, stepping into the small hallway to answer. His voice was low but urgent. "You've got to see the latest survey." I pulled from the county records. "It's not just about your dock. The HOA boundaries have been tampered with. Someone's been redrawing lines to target certain properties, including yours." I felt a cold knot tighten in my chest. This wasn't just a petty fight anymore. It was bigger, deeper, and more dangerous than I ever imagined. I glanced back through the door to see Karen still arguing, the Attorney General trying to keep the peace, but clearly annoyed. Returning to the room, I held up my phone. "There's more to this dispute. I've got proof that some boundaries were illegally changed. This might explain why Karen's been so aggressive." The room went quiet. Karen's face flushed, her voice faltering for the first time. But she quickly masked it with a forced smile. The Attorney General leaned in, interest piqued. "If that's true, this could be a serious legal issue." He pulled out his notebook, preparing to take notes. And just then, as if on cue, Karen reached for something in her folder, a new document, sealed and stamped, that she claimed was an official amendment approved months ago. But the timing, the content, the whole situation felt off. I realized this moment could change everything, but it also felt like walking on a knife's edge. One wrong move, and everything I'd worked for could slip away. The tension in the cabin was almost unbearable. The Attorney General looked at both of us, waiting to see who would break first. The storm was about to hit its peak. Just as the Attorney General reached out to take the sealed document from Karen's hands, my phone buzzed again, this time with an email alert. I glanced down quickly, heart pounding. It was from Alan. The subject line read, "Urgent. Look closer at the HOA president's records." I hesitated, not wanting to draw too much attention, but something about the timing screamed urgency. Quietly, I opened the email and scanned the attached files. My eyes widened. The documents included bank statements and contracts showing suspicious payments and property deals linked directly to the HOA president Karen herself. It was evidence of something far worse than boundary disputes or petty complaints. My fingers trembled as I slid the phone across the table toward the Attorney General. His sharp eyes scanned the screen, and for the first time, the stern professionalism cracked just a bit, revealing concern. Karen's face shifted from confident to visibly shaken. The room's tension thickened, the air growing heavier with every passing second. Karen suddenly slammed her folder shut, her voice rising. "This is ridiculous. You're twisting facts to ruin the community." But her protests sounded hollow, and I could see even she was fighting to keep control of the narrative. The Attorney General looked directly at her, voice steady but firm. "Ms. Karen, these allegations are serious. If what I'm seeing is true, this isn't just about property lines, it's a matter of legal misconduct." I felt my pulse quicken. The stakes had just exploded. What started as a frustrating HOA conflict had now turned into a potential scandal with legal consequences that could shake the entire neighborhood. And with the Attorney General right here, in my cabin, every word, every move mattered more than ever. As Karen's composure cracked, I knew the next moments would decide everything, but the real battle was just beginning. The room felt like it was closing in. Karen's eyes darted around, searching for a way out. But there was no escape from the evidence laid bare on my phone and the Attorney General's scrutinizing gaze. Finally, she took a shaky breath and lowered her voice. "Look, there were some mistakes. Odd. But I only did what I thought was best for the community." The Attorney General didn't flinch. "Ms. Karen, best for the community doesn't justify illegal boundary changes or financial irregularities. These actions have consequences." He pulled out a folder of his own, official documents ordering an immediate investigation into the HOA's recent activities, including the suspicious property dealings and boundary alterations. As Karen's facade cracked completely, she suddenly blurted out, "You think I acted alone? There's more to this, people who wanted to keep me quiet. People who don't want the truth to come out." The room went still. Her words hung heavy with meaning. Before I could ask what she meant, a knock came from the cabin's back door. We all froze. The Attorney General nodded for me to open it. Outside stood Alan, holding a thick envelope and looking unusually serious. He stepped inside and handed over the envelope without a word. The Attorney General opened it, and his eyes widened. Inside were recorded conversations, voicemails, phone calls that revealed a shadowy network manipulating HOA members, pressuring Karen and orchestrating illegal actions to control the lakefront properties for profit. It wasn't just a fight between neighbors anymore. This was a deep-rooted conspiracy reaching far beyond the boundaries of my cabin and the HOA. Karen's aggressive actions, the boundary disputes, the financial irregularities, they were all pieces of a much larger puzzle. I looked at Karen, then at the Attorney General, and realized this story was far from over. The quiet lake had hidden dangerous currents beneath its surface, and now we were all caught in the middle. After Alan's evidence came to light, everything shifted quickly. The Attorney General assured me that a full investigation would begin immediately into the HOA's actions and the network behind the corruption. Karen, though shaken and no longer the confident enforcer she once was, agreed to cooperate. It was clear she had been both a participant and a victim of something much bigger in the days that followed. Neighbors started to come forward with their own stories, disputes, threats, and suspicious activities that had been quietly tolerated or ignored for years. The community, once divided and suspicious, began to unite around the truth. It wasn't easy. There were hurt feelings and hard conversations, but slowly, the toxic atmosphere that had hung over the lakefront started to clear. For me, this journey was about more than just a property fight or a difficult HOA neighbor. It became a lesson in standing up for what's right, even when the odds feel stacked against you. The Attorney General's visit was a turning point, not just for me, but for the entire neighborhood. I learned that sometimes those who seem like the biggest obstacles might actually be caught in forces beyond their control. And sometimes truth and justice come from unexpected places, neighbors helping neighbors. Quiet evidence revealing hidden stories, and courage in the face of chaos. Though the lake cabin feels peaceful again, the story isn't just about one property or one HOA president. It's a reminder that communities are complex, and standing up to corruption requires persistence and trust. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever dealt with difficult neighbors or complicated community disputes, I hope this encourages you to keep fighting for fairness. Stay tuned for more updates as the investigation continues. The fight for justice is never simple, but it's always worth it.